Welcome back. Today I'm going to have a go at starting this Centurion ARV, Armoured Recovery Vehicle. It's a bit hard to tell what it is because it's partly Jack's workbench, partly Jack's spray booth, and partly, completely in Jack's way. We really need to get it out because we need a place to put the turret that will be coming soon for the FV4005, where we can restore the turret, and then when we're ready, well, I say restore the turret, put the finishing details to the turret, and then it'll go on there when we're ready. So anyway, we need a place, and if this damn thing will focus, and this will be the place where we need to put the turret. And obviously the turret is massive, so we need this out of the way. Now, the reason I brought this in here originally, we've sold it to a friend of mine who wants to convert it to diesel. At the minute, it's running a Rolls-Royce or a Rover Meteor V12 petrol engine, one of my favourite engines. There it is. Now, it does run, but a bit of an unusual one with this. It doesn't seem to want to start on the starter. The starter motor seems to throw it over quite quick, but it will not fire up on the start motor. Get the Foden and bump start it, she starts and runs fine. So what I'm thinking is, what it's quite likely to be, is the magnetos probably just aren't creating enough power at the low RPM, not powerful enough to make a big enough spark to make it start, which is likely. And obviously when it gets pushed, the engine's probably just turning over a little bit more, which will make them fire up. So what I'm going to do is take the outside spark plugs out on these. I know it's a bit hard to see because the lighting in here, I cheaped out. I put a light there and I put a light there, and I didn't put one in the middle because I couldn't afford it at the time. Anyway, enough about that. So what I'm going to do is take the outer spark plugs out either side. These also have an inner set of spark plugs called the in mag runs the inner spark plugs, the X mag runs the exhaust side. And these engines will run on just exhaust and they'll run on just in, but they're down on power and there's a noticeable difference. But it should start on either, but this one isn't. So it sounds like both mags are down on power, which in my head seems a little bit unlikely, but it can only either be spark or fuel. It must have compression because it runs, and when it does run, it runs lovely and it has plenty of power. So anyway, enough chitter chatter. I'm going to take the spark plugs out, see what they look like, and the other side. We'll fit some brand new batteries. 1,000 cold crank an hour. Whenever you're dealing with big heavy vehicles, the only thing that matters with batteries is CCA, cold cranking amps. You need at least 1,000 per battery, else you are just wasting your time. That's what makes it really spin over quick. So we'll whack them in, check the battery terminals and all that sort of basic stuff, make sure it's got a good ground, because obviously the faster the start motor is spinning, the more chance that the mags are going to kick up. You know, what else can it be? I mean, it's a bloody basic thing. I've got get this going. I may as well give up and go and work at McDonald's. Okay, right, well, we got the spark plugs out. Some of them look like they've been functioning, but quite a lot of them don't look like they've been functioning so well. So it does look like we have spark issues. So somewhere down here is the Magneto for the in mag. And I think on the wrong side. Oh yeah, this is in mag, not on exhaust mag. I'll get over the other side. So here we have the exhaust Magneto. God knows why I'm talking like that. Too much Australian armour, I should say. Right, I need to whip this cap off, which also doesn't look to be in the best condition ever. I might take that cap off and have a look inside. I do have some new caps, but the HT leads are probably also knackered. But I don't really want to replace them if I can help it, because anyone that's done them before knows it's an absolute horrendous job. But I need to take the boost coil lead off and the mag earth, which is this one here. So when you want it to stop, that just grounds the mag out. Need to take that off. I'm going to turn the engine over until the pointer's pointing at that, the rotor arm. So when I swap the mag, I know that my timing will stay in place. Yeah, it doesn't look great.
It's not a favourable stat.
No. Okay. As far as Centurion distributors go, Magnetos,
Distributors.
it's not a mint. I think quite a lot of water has been making its way inside that.
Would have been helping.
And they're not being able to get out. A little bit more. A little bit more. Well, one more click. One more click. That'll do for a line.
In your own time.
So that's the exhaust mag off. And I don't know if it's sparking or not, but what we'll do, we'll take it to the bench, we'll put it in the bench and we'll do a low RPM check and see if it's sparking at all. It is a recon one. That doesn't always mean they're very good. Usually the better they're painted just means that someone's took the time and painted them, not actually repaired it. This is a thing that people get mistake. A recon engine isn't an engine that's been painted. And a recon Magneto isn't a Magneto that's just been painted. Paint doesn't fix things. If it looks pretty, it doesn't mean it works. Quite often I'll put a real scabby Magneto on something and it works 10 times better than these brand new ones that I've got in stock. In fact, I don't really rate them. So, following that, I've got another brand new one on the vise and we'll see if that one's any better. Because what you find is they probably spark all right when they're spinning high, but sometimes the coil in them's a bit weak, and at low RPM it just doesn't have enough get up and go about it. So I imagine it needs rewinding, or I don't know, someone will tell me how they work. I haven't a clue. This screwdriver is also completely functionless, so I'm not going to bother with that. We'll do it down there. So I just took the distributor arm out of the Magneto, and as I pulled it out, the end of that, I know people are going to go, you clumsy, you idiot, the end of that fell off. Now, the spark goes through the base of the Magneto, up there, and then to that tip. That's kind of important. Not saying that was the issue, but it's not looking very good. So this is the Magneto that I've had drying out for the last couple of weeks in the workshop. So I'm just going to put the drill on it now, and you can see a low RPM, it's sparking, and that's the main thing. If you slow it right down, it's hard to see, but it is still sparking at a very low RPM. So I know that Magneto will be sparking even when the engine's turning over very, very slowly. So, in theory, that's good. Now, I was hoping to put this rotor arm, which is brand new, in there, but that's damaged, so that's about as much use as the Pope's top. So we won't bother with that. You ready? Right, so this is the one off it. And believe it or not, to be fair, that is actually sparking. Even at low RPM, that is still sparking at both points. So it's not looking like the problem was the Magneto at all. That could have been one of the problems. So we'll go to the stores, we'll find another one of these. I'm still going to fit this Magneto. Don't know why, I just want it. And we'll fit another one of them, and we'll also bring a new cap, because I'm not that hot on the cap that's on there. So hopefully the problem is either that or the contacts on the cap. That would be nice. It's quite simple repair. We'll just simply put the new batteries on, add some fuel and start it straight up. How hard can it be? You join us in the really, really well labelled and thought out storeroom. I'm just going to make my way
downtown
over here. There's a new one with a cap on. Maybe we just put that in it. Do we have any just a cap? Got in mags, out mags, we've got mags in boxes, got old mags, new mags. No porn mags though.
No.
Every other mag but that.
You've even got bad mags.
Have we got a bad mag?
We've got a very bad
Oh,
mag.
got a bad mag. That'll probably work. It's funny, like, you look at that and you think, that'll never work, and then
Probably better than.
they probably work better than all these painted up junk. Brand new starters. Right, hopefully
You don't break your neck.
that's all we need. Do I need anything else? No. Right, okay, so that's the drive coupling attached to the good Magneto that we plan to use. Now we need a distributor arm that isn't knackered. So let's grab one out of this, which is our other new Magneto. First got to take the cap off. I think I will end up using this cap on the tank itself. I called it a tank. Alright, not a tank, it's an ARV. I don't really like fitting new parts. I don't think that thing deserves it really, but well, that certainly looks a hell of a lot better in there than the one on it. So they're the contacts on which the rotor arm's striking against. Each one of them is a cylinder. The ones on the other are very, very corroded and black looking, which probably isn't good for connectivity. Right, so we need this distributor arm. Now, it says EX on it. They are actually different. InMag and XMag have different rotor arms, although you can put them in. The only difference is the booster coil line will be on the wrong side. It's the only difference. But seeing as we've got the right ones, we'll fit the right ones for it. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going, why don't you just put this one on? Because that has been in my storeroom for a long time, and before I fit a mag, I often bring them in the house and probably let them dry out for a couple of days near the log burner or a heater, because it makes a hell of a difference. Now, that's the bit of material that we've broken off on this one, as you can see, and that is fundamentally the most important thing, because that's what delivers the spark to the end of the rotor arm, which then transfers it to the cap. So probably the reason this was such a pain to start is probably only the in-mag was working because of that was damaged. Also, it might not have been that, but it's looking that way. So I'm going to carefully, making sure it's clean in there, carefully put that in. And then what we'll do, we'll get a piece of welding wire. And what I always do to just check these, I'll chuck a bit of welding wire in there, and then we'll rotate the mag round at low RPM and make sure we've got our 12 points of contact and spark. Now have our extended rotor arm, and the reason I'm doing this is that so it can earth against the face of the mag, so we can do a functional test on the bench to see if it is sparking. So sparking now, it's looking good, but when I slow down the spark does drop off a little bit. See how it's not that brilliant at low RPM. So I'm going to run it for a couple of minutes at a higher RPM to try and energise the workings in it. So that's a nice flame there. So it would be running well at that RPM. But then as you back down to a low RPM, this is why you have trouble on startup. Really, it wants to be snapping like that. It's just not quite there. It's getting better, but it's not quite. So join us again in 10 minutes time when I've let it run for a little while. Hopefully it'll be better. Okay, so we're now happy with our Magneto. Look, just turning it by hand there, it is pretty much sparking every single one now, so I'm confident that will start on very low idle, on very low RPM on turning over to start as slow on these. Now I am going to go and fit this cap, and annoyingly you have to undo these series of bolts here, but then you've got to pull each wire off and thread each wire on one at a time. All the wires are the same colour, they're black, none of the things labelled, and what you should do is do a continuity test between each and single individual one. I'm just going to try and mark it and swap them over. Ideally it does need new cables, but that's a fairly big job, one that I do not have time for right now, and I'm pretty sure there's still a bit of life. I think the biggest trouble was the cap, so let's go and change that now. Right, so swapping the wires over, it is marked on the cap which ones they are, which is great, but obviously the leads don't have numbers on, so I'm just gonna mark them. I'm gonna take that outer lot out, and then there's a cap, and then there's an inner lot, and then I can pull them wires through there, swap the caps over, and put them in the right place, and hopefully the way the wires are sat for years, it'll make it fairly obvious where they went. Okay, so I'm just gonna set the Magneto, if I don't electrocute myself, to the mark on the top there, and then I know that when I put it on, the timing should be spot on in the right place. Right, that is the new reconditioned distributor Magneto and new cap on and wired up, so fingers crossed. I'm going to connect the fuel pipe, we can give it a go, see if it sparks. I've been down the shop and I've bought some extremely cheap and nasty batteries. When I say cheap, they weren't cheap, they were dear, but they are very nasty and no doubt crap. But they're 1,000 cold cranking amps, and that's the only thing that matters. I mean, they're probably 1,000 cold cranking amps that will last about a year, rather than a NATO battery that lasts 10 years plus. But you can't have everything. Right, I won't close that because it probably won't open again. I'm going to grab this torch. I forgot it's been back to the roof for about 3 days now. But it's still going. Oh, it looks mint in here. I'll tell you what, the floor of this feels the tits. Right. Okay, so let's have a look at our terminals. Right. We have negative, and we have positive. Who would have thought? Just drop it on my head. That would be great. Yeah, it'd be fine. When we first got this, it got 4 6-volt batteries in. Really old-fashioned 6-volt batteries, which I thought was pretty cool. And I think that was how they were
From standard, isn't it?
from standard back in the day. We're not bothering with 6-volt junk. Adjustable spanner, obviously, and a little hammer, because that's, you always put batteries on with hammers.
Yep.
And WD-40.
Wire brush.
Okay.
WD-40. And your adjustable spanner.
Was a little bit too. I use that as a hammer. Right, that's the mint batteries connected. Now I'm going to get in it and crank it over, and we'll see if we have a spark down on those plugs. So we now have Seb, the assistant, in the driver's seat.
I don't know.
There they are. Right, isolators up there. Turn that on. Does anything happen? Yes.
Main engine generator.
And then basically, yep. Basically, all I need you to do is press the clutch down as hard as you can, and then in a second, I'm going to get you to hit that when I shout. All right?
No.
Happy?
No.
Good. Okay, when you're ready, hold the thing and give it a crank. Ready? Yeah. Right, so we've just done a quick test of making sure every single spark plug sparks without adding any fuel. All of them spark except for plug A4 down here. Basically the N1 on the A bank isn't sparking. So I'm going to take the cap back to bits and see if I've got a bad connection there where I joined it together earlier. I'll put a continuity tester between the two till it beeps, and then when we're happy we'll put it back together again, do the test again, and if that one's sparking, we have all 12 sparking nicely. So fingers crossed with some fuel should start. Right, okay, so I still can't get that plug to spark for some reason. We've checked the continuity, it's coming good to the cap. I took the cap off, made sure the contact's clean. Just doesn't seem to be distributing a spark down to it, and the lead isn't earthing out. So I don't know. So what we're going to do now, before we connect fuel, I'm going to give it 2 shots of this while Seb cranks her over and see if she farts, splutters or does anything. And if it does, pretty good indication that when we connect the fuel up, she'll probably run. So let's try it. Crank it. How much throttle? None. No throttle, here. Well, that was pretty hopeful. Right. That was hopeful. Crank it one more time. Okay, I think now with fuel, she's going to start on the starter for the first time in ever. Right, next one. Isolate everything. Awesome. I thought I'd take a little break and come and see how the professionals do it and have a cup of tea. Right, make sure we're in neutral, clutch, brake, accelerator, isolator here, ignition on, generator light, we'll give it 3 bumps of throttle. Didn't sound the mintest. 3 bumps of throttle. Right, well, I'm not totally happy with the timing. It doesn't seem to pick up when you're revving. When you let the clutch out, it seems to want to kill it. Doesn't seem to have much power. So I'm going to double check the timing. So I'm going to nip underneath, take the sump bung out, and show you the timing marks on the crank, and then time the mags, both mags from the crank. I'm pretty sure I did on this, and I'm pretty sure I did it right, but I can't remember now if I've had the mags off in between doing that, and I could have just got them out slightly. So now we know it's starting correctly. Originally, you see, I couldn't get it to start, so I thought maybe the timing's the issue, and it wasn't. I don't think the problem with the starting was in fact actually that cap. It might be worth doing the other one as well. Right, I've got to get that out. Well, some of it went in. So while I wait for that oil to drain out, I took the cap off the other side on the in mag. Although it doesn't seem to want to focus in any sort of way, there's a lot of corrosion on the ends of the pins that go into the wires on this one as well. The cap's actually all right on the inside, but the pins in the wires are bad. So I'm going to do like I did the other side. I'm going to cut the ends off so it's clean wire again, shine up all of them with a tiny bit of sandpaper, and then that should probably make a lot more difference as well, because I'm pretty sure that's a new mag I've put on that side as well. Maybe not, but I'm sure it's fine. Right, now I've spent a little minute with the sandpaper, and I've shined up all of the prongs. God, the focus on this iPhone is pants. The new iPhone is junk, if anyone was wondering. The older one was better. Right, I'm going to get some anti-seize, bit of copper grease, I'm going to do this, and I'm sure people are going, no, you can never do that. But they seize up very well. They seize up, they corrode very quickly, these things. They're not waterproof like people seem to think they are. Moisture gets into them, and I think that this is one of the main causes, well, I'm pretty confident it is, that this was not starting on the starter, because the corrosion on the cap here. So I'm going to do this, wipe the face off, and then some of the ends of these leads, look, if I can get this iPhone to focus, are corroded as well. So I'm going to cut that off till it's clean again, and then we've got a better chance. More, a few more degrees, one more, whoa, perfect. Got exhaust mag, and then in mag on the next line. Oh. Okay, we're now back at the exhaust mag. We've got the annulus, or the distributor arm, pointing, if you look, in the wrong place. If I can get my finger in somewhere, that's what she said. There's the distributor arm, and quite clearly there's the mark that we've got to point it to. So when that crank setting is on EX TDC, this, or EM on the crank, don't know why it says EM, but it's exhaust mag anyway, that should be pointing directly with that. And it looks to me like we're at least a tooth out, which I think is why it's a bit advanced. When it's cranking, it's trying to smash the starter up because it's firing a bit early. So I'm going to slacken the bolts off for the mag, pull it back, knock it over till it's dead on that one, and then we'll check the other mag. And just for clarification, that mark there where it says A1, don't align the arm there to that A1 mark, because that's wrong. It's got to be on that casting mark on the top of the mag, and anyone that tells you otherwise is wrong. My good friend Adrian Clayton, that works on these all the time in Australia, told me that, and he's a pretty clever chap, so I'll go with what he says. Right, so that's the mag bolted on, and it's now perfectly in line. So I've just got to check the other side now, the other mag. I'm going to get underneath. Seb's going to turn the starter and then I'll align the crank, and then we'll do the same on the other side, and then we'll put it together and try it. Right, we're going to try it now. Fingers crossed, she'll be running big. If it's not, I'm going to crack. What it's struggling with now, it's not got enough fuel pressure.
Yeah.
So when you deck it for fuel, it's goes farting and sputtering. But now I'm pretty sure, time-wise, she's all right. She starts perfect.
Yeah.
That starts how you want it to start, doesn't it? There's no strain on the starter. Before it was just too advanced, and you could hear it going, making the slip clutch in the starter squawk. That don't normally happen. Normally what happens is it just smashes the gear straight. Yeah, but yesterday, Jack, before you were here, when you were starting it, it was going like, and you're like, there goes another 900 quid.
Any minute.
But it was the slip clutch actually working in the starter as it should, which doesn't normally happen. They normally just smash themselves up. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you again in the next video on this. I'm going to be sorting out the gear cable, the gear rod, and putting some fan belts on and getting it out of here because we need the space. Cheers.
Bag of
Hey! Hey! Not fighting. Don't put up with bullying. Blair.